should be going out I would say within the next 3 days. Ideally this afternoon or tomorrow, but I don't want to make promises that we can't keep. I saw what I thought were the final copies and I found a typo, so I sent them back for a correction. And then they'll go back out, but they are so close. So keep an eye out for that. Like I mentioned in the email, they'll be coming from Laura in our procurement department, and just keep an eye on the body of the email because she will direct you to a specific email to send it to, for so they don't get lost in someone's inbox. So it'll go to a specific like procurement inbox when you guys sign them, or have your people sign them. And yeah, that was what I had. Oh, and I think we are going to work on having some sort of open office hour type situation, hopefully within the next week or so. So if there's any questions once you guys get them or need some clarification, we'll get that information sent out to you soon. And yeah, I think that's all I had this month.
Thank you, Carla. And we are really excited to get those amendments out to you all. And yes, we're going to be working to get some office hours now that we have somewhat of a timeline and where we can send that out. And we will let you all know as soon as we have that date. So you can attend. But of course, if you have other questions and are not able to attend the office hours, send any questions that you have our way, and we will be working together to make sure that we get those questions answered for you all. And so up next, I did want to highlight that Dorothy put in the chat just what she's hoping for her section, so you guys can get thinking. So if you want to read that in the chat, that would be great. And I'm actually going to just pass it over to Ivan and Rachel up next for their presentation.
All right. Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. I'm Ivan. I am the manager for the Oregon Imagination Library State Program. I'm the one who needs introduction. With me, I have Rachel King, who probably all of you already know. So Rachel, I am happy to pass this on to you. So we're here today to present on the statewide program launch and answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you, Ivan, and it's so great to be here. And yeah, I do see a lot of faces that I recognize and names, so nice to meet you all. If I've not met you before, it's such a pleasure to meet you today, and I'm always happy to connect afterwards as well and answer any questions outside of this meeting, because I know you have a busy agenda, but we've got some fun things to start with today. So as you will all be aware, the Imagination Library launched statewide in Oregon last month. So that is the statewide expansion program, and I'll talk about what that means. But my role at the Dollywood Foundation is I am the Senior Regional Director, and I oversee 6 states on this side of the US. So everything that touches the Pacific is where I go, and I live just down the I-5, not too far from you all in California. So I'm not too far away. And I have the absolute pleasure of working with our Oregon local program partners, who are the heroes of the program, who really put all the effort into the Imagination Library in Oregon, and hence why we're in such an amazing position today and we can celebrate the launch of the program. Very quickly, I won't spend too much on the background because I think everybody here knows about it, but the Imagination Library came from Dolly and her desire to inspire a love of books and reading. It comes from a very personal place from Dolly. And we are celebrating 30 years next year and currently serving 1 in 7 children across the US. And that, again, is a big part of our local program partners really going out, finding funding, enrolling children, and publicizing. So this is the flagship program of the Dollywood Foundation. And in a nutshell, if you have not heard of the program before, it's a grassroots community-based book gifting program. So that means that we partner with our states and we partner with our local program partners to mail a high quality, age appropriate book at no cost to the family to a child every month from birth until their 5th birthday. And These books have their name on them for the children, so they're mailed directly to that child, so they have their own books and they can create a home library at home. The books are selected by a Blue Ribbon Book Selection Committee, and they include, they receive 12 books a year, and around about 2 of those are bilingual English-Spanish as well. Currently, we're mailing out 3 million books a month. We've just processed today, so this is our processing day. Anyone on here knows that it's a processing day today, because that means that we are getting ready to mail out our July books. And we've seen a lovely jump in Oregon as a result of the expansion. And we've gone from 25% of Oregonian children already to 26 point something. We're just getting the final number there. So we've seen a really nice jump in 1 month. So what's been happening in this 1 month I keep referring to? So in May 2024, we launched a statewide expansion of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. And this is an expansion because we in Oregon were so fortunate to have so many partners really taking this on board already. So it's been a big part of many communities already. And Senate bill was passed and to expand this further. So now we're in that expansion stage where we're hoping to get to every single geographical area of Oregon so that we can open up to every single 0 to 5-year-old. We have the pleasure of working with Elk. It's been a really fun few months here to help to expand the local program partners. And we will work alongside to always support our program partners. So let's see if I can do this. 1 second, I'm just going to see we've got a thank you from somebody else. Let me just reshare my page. Here we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. But this is from somebody.
Well, hello, Oregon. It's Dolly. And I am so excited to announce that Oregon is officially expanding my Imagination Library. Well, hello, Oregon. It's Dolly. Is that not great news? And I am so excited. It takes a lot of people coming together to make a thing like this possible. And I want to personally thank Governor Tina Kotek, Imagination Library statewide. And is that not great news? It takes a lot of people and for helping us bring the gift of Imagination Library books to all children across the state. Governor Tina Kotek, and I also want to thank Ben Bowman, my Oregon Early Learning Directors, Alyssa Chatterjee, and for helping us bring the gift of.
Stop there. Were you hearing Dolly twice? Sorry, let me start again. My sincerest apologies. I think my technical capabilities are, let's try one more.
In your community.
Oh, well,
and happy reading.
I've got 2 pages going at the same time. I'm so sorry about this. Excuse me for 1 second. Right, this should be fine this time. Because she really wants to tell you. Let's try again.
Well, hello, Oregon. It's Dolly. And I am so excited to announce that Oregon is officially expanding my Imagination Library statewide. Is that not great news? It takes a lot of people coming together to make a thing like this possible. And I want to personally thank Governor Tina Kotek, Representative Ben Bowman, and Early Learning Director Alyssa Chatterjee, and for helping us bring the gift of Imagination Library books to all children across the state. And I also want to thank personally my Oregon local program partners who have worked so hard over the years to make this dream a reality. Now, we're already working hard to establish local programs across Oregon, so keep checking back to see when a program is starting in your community. And happy reading, Oregon, and just remember that I will always love you. Thank you.
It took a minute, but it was worth it, I think. So sorry for that. Just let me open. So Dolly is very thankful for everything our Oregon partners do, as are the whole foundation, but even more so as are the children and the families of Oregon who are receiving these books already each month from the Heartwork. So what does that expansion mean now? So we are very, very happy that that means that there is a state match that halves the cost of books and mailing. So now that the partners have this reduction in costs each month, and that is directly applied as well. It's not retrospectively active. It's applied monthly to the invoices. We're in the process of finalizing recruitment on a state team. So we'll have people dedicated in Oregon who know Oregon very, very well to help to expand our existing programs and to help to fill the gaps where we need new programs as well. Our goal is to get to all 36 counties and to, over time, in the next few years, to reach 65% of that 215,000 CUTE population, the cutest population that you all get to work with every day. And part of that is building community partnerships. So where we are right now, we've talked about what the offering is, the book gifting. So right now in 23-25, we're looking at the match and onboarding the team and increasing that enrollment. And then 25 to 27 is really ramping up so that we can get to as many families as possible to receive those books each month. Currently, we have 55 local program partners across many of our counties. We have programs in every single county. So there is a program in every county, but we're looking to expand to fully cover every single zip code. Right now, we have up to 36,370 children are receiving books each month. So thank you all for that. That's an incredible feat. I don't know of many state programs that have already started in such an amazing situation. So thank you. We can get to so much more. But what do we do on the ground? Our local program partners do three main things. They publicize the program, they enroll, and they fundraise. And that might sound simple, but there's lots of other pieces that we know go into making a community. And this is kind of a nice schematic that I can share with anybody afterwards of how it works in terms of the roles and what needs to be done for a local program partner. But we have many of these already in place on the ground in Oregon who can share experience, help for those who are looking to grow further, but also to be able to start these new programs. That's one of the wonderful things about Oregon. There's lots of learning to be done from our neighbors. So where are we and what we're looking for? So we have our existing programs and our goal is to grow, sustain and maintain these. So anyone here today who's not involved in a program but is part of a community where there is a program, we'd love you to talk to them and help them to understand many things, kind of build this community around a program and help to increase that support in many ways, fiscal, enrollment, publicity, and to build that partnership there. To keep the energy and excitement about the program as well. A lot of it is about getting out there and really sharing the love of the program so that expands enrollment over time. And a lot of you are doing that already, so thank you. But we want to make sure that we can continue to grow to that 65%. So let me know if you need any contacts with your local program partners. For our new programs, we are looking at, we've got some counties that we're looking to cover, and we've got plans for a few, and some of the others we're looking for one big program for the remaining counties to really ensure that we get every single child in every single zip code and have sustainable, strong programs, just like our others in Oregon, to go forward. So we'll be working with our existing partners in the county and also asking people like yourself, like, who should we speak to? Who do we need to get out to make sure that we can get this to happen? And work on building those community partnerships so we can launch in those counties. And we're looking at Washington, Clackamas, and Multnomah, the big three. We're really trying to look for some support there. So if you connect with me, I'd love to take the opportunity to talk your ear off about all your amazing local efforts. Because the goal is for this, we want sustainable programs over time so that Oregon can continue to have the Imagination Library forever. Once we start, we never want it to go. And that is about creating those strong, successful programs into the communities. And then nobody in the Dollywood Foundation knows how to do that at an Oregon level like you do. That's why it's a local community-based partnership, and our early learning hubs know how to do that so fantastically that we call on you to help all the time, and we know that you do that. And we want to make sure that there is universal access to these programs. This is a very big part of that as well. So working with your communities to understand that when it is open, it's open to absolutely everybody, and ensuring that no child is missed. I know it's a big part of everybody's role and thought process here, and we want to be included in that so that every child has this offering. There's many funding opportunities at different levels. We want to be able to help people to collaborate and understand where that comes from. And again, the long-term funding versus shorter versus public versus private, all these different things to make this a strong program. And the consistency of its publicity is what is paramount to the application as well, that people know the brand, especially in Oregon. And we want to continue to maintain that brand and help to get every child in there to be successful. I think we can agree, and I only had a few minutes, so I think we can agree you can never get enough books into the hands of children. And my role right now, until our state team comes on, is to work as hard as I can to start to build those collaborative partnerships in the areas where we don't have programs and connect people in the areas that we do. So please feel free to connect me. I'm happy to help discuss. And I'll be honest, I'll be asking you a lot of questions if you connect as well, because you are the people who will be able to help us to make sure that every child is able to access the Imagination Library in Oregon. Okay, thank you. Any questions? I talk a lot and quickly. Anyone here want to jump in and talk about their program for a moment? Anyone?
I'll just say hi, Rachel. It's good to see you. We love Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and it's been a real boost in our community. We've got close to 6,000 kids registered, and we just started about 18 months ago. So it's pretty exciting to see, and it's really been a rallying thing for the community partners to get behind. So very exciting.
Thank you for sharing, Lisa, and thank you for all your hard work as well, you and all your team.
Rachel, hi again. It's not been
Hi,
that
Brenda.
long, but
No.
thank you for the overview. We're really excited since the press release has come out. The civic organizations in Bend and Redmond are rallying because they want to see it roll out. So we feel like we're really close. So, and looking forward to seeing some future work on Spanish language and Latina authors in the mix.
Thank you, Brenda. And yes, we'll keep you updated on that. We're continually to work on our strategic rollout for our bilingual program. So we'll keep Oregon at the forefront of conversations. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Lisa.
Begonia, did you have a question?
I do. Hi, Rachel. So I
Hi.
have a question. So there was one statement that it said that one of the goals is to provide universal access to the program. But then when I see that there is 2 bilingual books, my heart is like, oops, right? So I'm gonna piggyback on what Brenda just asked, but we are in the most racially diverse county in the state of Oregon, in Washington County. So for 119 languages, when we look at 2 bilingual books, English and Spanish, it does not actually provide that universal access in our community. So I wonder, what are your plans, at least to say, well, we are gonna elevate really quickly the Spanish speakers to the same level as the English speakers, plus we're gonna be targeting, let's say, 10 languages that are the most spoken ones after these 2 primary ones.
Thank you again. That's a great question. And I live in California and I work in California, and our Spanish-speaking population are a big part of what we've been working on for the last year. And that was the launch of our bilingual English-Spanish program as a pilot in California. And that pilot's starting to come to an end there. And we're looking to strategically think how we're going to roll this out in other states. So there will be some news to come on the Spanish piece. But I hear what you're also saying about our other language offerings as well. We currently just have the English-Spanish bilingual on our piece, but I'd love to chat to you more about how we could provide access in terms of, if you wouldn't mind, me spending some time with you at some point to talk about other ways that we can do that through registration forms, through other ways that you engage your community to try and really understand your community better, and then to strategize offerings for that. But right now, the book collections are going to be those 2. We are in Canada as well, so there's the French English book collection, which isn't there just yet, but we're also working in those pieces. So I'd love to chat to you offline about that as well, because I want to get to know the county more and make sure that we're making the right decisions and helping support those families. Thank you, and thanks for raising that. That's wonderful. Any other questions or anything else I can help with?
So Rachel, this is Ivan. I think many people have a question or a clarification about, like, what is this state match is like. So I think maybe it's worth spending just a little bit of time kind of explaining what this first year is going to look like, and what we mean by a strong program, and what we mean by sustainable funding. So I can start. So like, you guys all know the Senate Bill 5506 allocated 1.7 million. That's all we have between now and the end of the biennium, and that's half of the money. So everything that it costs you for the books right now, or what used to cost for the books to you, is being a portion of that, a 50% portion of that. Half of that is basically being paid through this Senate Bill 5506 funding. So if your invoice used to be $1,000, it's becoming 500 from now on. And we expect that expansion means this, that the rest of the money is sort of being put back into the program. So what we wanted to do with this funding is we wanted to make sure that it doesn't get supplanted, right? So there is a supplement to the funding, but not supplanting of the funding. So we don't want the local funding to be replaced in entirety by the state program. And the reason for that is there has been some increases to the funding that the hubs receive. And I know it doesn't apply for everybody, but it does apply for the hub partners that also receive other funding from the state. So in an event that that funding goes away, we don't want a situation where there is hardship caused in the community and kids stop getting books. So we're going to work on our end to make the 50% funding continue and maybe increase. So as you ramp up, we also are ramping up on our end. But what we're asking you to do is find ways, and we're going to make it a soft rollout because we don't know how it's like right now. And we probably will find out when Rachel's has begun having conversations with UNO and local partners, and will continue when the staff is hired. But we will learn this, I guess, maybe funding profile and how the funding looks like. And based on that, we'll, I guess, make decisions, right, of how soon we can get to a place that state dollars are being matched by local dollars. And that's where we want to, that's where we see this program, because this is a, private public partnership program. But I think I want you to all be sort of rest assured that this, between now and the end of the biennium, if you have some state funding in the program, nobody's going to turn that off. But kind of be mindful that direction we're headed is we probably want in the future, right, half of the funding to be state and half of the funding to be local, and we'll have fundraising, we'll have staff, you will have support locally. At least that's what we're that's the conversations we have begun and efforts. Rachel, if I left anything out, or maybe what you heard needs to be kind of clarified.
No, I think from our point of view, we know that the state match really is to halve that books and mailing, and that is the piece, and that's directly applied. So it's not, again, that retrospectively. That's what's really nice about this, that it's there, and it's there to help support those programs to grow. The growth piece is where we are. So thank you for the other pieces regarding the where that all comes from.
Yeah, and please, if you have concerns, if you have questions, ask. Like, this is the time we want to know. And like, we promise to do more about learning how the current programs are being funded, but we have some work to do to really kind of create that knowledge base. Lisa, I have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up, and you're getting some questions in the chat too. I don't know if you're seeing those. I do, and we were a part of the big splash that the governor's office did. And Abby raised, I think, a really good point here, that a lot of the messages that families are thinking that it's just automatically available in their area. And that's not true. And I think that was just sort of an unintended consequence of how the messaging went out. I know it wasn't intentional, but I think there might be an opportunity for Delk, the governor's office, Rachel, to kind of temper that for families, which actually might help endear some of that community support that you're talking about and how critical that is. So I just wanted to point that out, and I think I'm really happy to hear, Ivan, that Delk really is looking at how can we continue to support this program as a part of some of the literacy efforts. It's not perhaps the end all be all, particularly when we think about the number of languages that we have and the number of supports that are needed, but it is a really good support for families. And it's a very inexpensive one to get out into the community. So
point.
again, it's been great for us and the community. So I just want to go on record as saying that again, but I do think that there's some communication that could follow up to partners and to the community.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful, Lisa. And Ivan, maybe you and I can have a chat about that. We were talking about some secondary communication. It happens. It happened in other states that we've seen, and it's the excitement. But we do know that some of our biggest counties are the ones where the population and those programs aren't available there right now. So that's definitely some of the effects that we see, and we can do what we can to mitigate that. But we want those families to feel happy and excited about that program, and that's what the expansion is. The point of the statewide expansion is to let people know they can, but also then to get the community involved to complete those areas where we haven't. And that match as well helps us to grow. And there was a question in about how many programs can we exist in one region. We're looking to get some of those whole county programs for what's left there now to ensure that all coverage is happening. We could, so we're working with a bunch of different organized, well, anyone who's coming to us, we're generating interest in counties and then talking to the people who are in parts of those counties. We're not there yet. It's very much at the start to see how we can do this to make sure that no zip code is missed. We could start another 50 counties, but there's a lot of risk in many programs starting and the risk of dropping a zip code or dropping something here and the program not being universal. And our goal is to have that piece there. So we need to talk to you about it and how best to do this within our communities to ensure that we can get as quickly covered as possible. And when we are fully covered, there'll be another whole set of announcements about fully covered and a celebration. You might have seen in Washington last August, they were fully covered. We celebrated, Dolly came, and we had a celebration around that as well. So another piece to help with those enrollment and the celebration piece. There's a question about, so that was the statewide piece. Yes, we'll try really to get there. The state match is in right now. It should be on last month's invoice for anybody who's in that piece. And what is the timeline to launch a program? We can run as quick as we can. So the timeline to launch a program is there's various pieces that need to be in place. We want to make sure that there's paperwork, which is very quick. There is a piece to do with the USPS and bulk mailing, which has become part of ours, which can take 4 to 6 weeks. But the biggest part is making sure that the time to take to establish that sustainable program within a community with kind of an allocated projection for how they're going to cover, say, for the first 2 years to get going. So from our side, from the Dollywood Foundation side, it can be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get one started. It's very, very, very quick, including training and all those pieces. But it's more the community side that takes the longer piece to get the necessary bits together to make sure that we're ready to go and launch so that every single family can enjoy this. Any other questions? Beginner.
Just out of curiosity, so if I have twins that they are like 1 year old, then I have a 2 years old child, right? So
Yep.
What is the system, the mechanism, so that when the kids, my twins move to, they are 2 years old, they don't get the same books as my 2 years old, and then we have the same books like twice or 3 times?
Yeah, so great question. So if you had twins, we still want you to enroll both of them. So they will get the same book every month, but it's about the ownership piece and having their own personal library. I think you said 3-year-old, the 3-year-old would get a different book. And then because each age group, each year group gets a different book. So we send out those sets of book each month. We do refresh our book list each year. So our book selection committee do sit down each year and look at all those books. And so we always have the little engine that could as the first one and Look Out Kindergarten by Nancy Carlson as the last one. But we do refresh our book list each year. And we probably change around about 30% to 40% each year, just depending on that. So they will get some of the same, but they will get different as well. But it's as well as the replication of the book, it's the ownership, it's the enjoyment, it's the getting the mail, it's all those other pieces around that as well.
Rachel and Ivan, I just wanted to make sure we were really clear about the state using the matching funds with the state birth to 5 literacy funds. Ivan, I think you were speaking to that, but I just wanted to make sure that for this 1 year that we have those birth to 5 funds, that can be used as part of the matching that's required by DPIL.
So I think that answers yes for the time being. I think what we don't want to see is that somehow the local funding, right, that's funding the program currently is being taken out and being replaced with the early literacy funding. So that supplanting would probably not be okay. So I want to just like maybe speak as clearly as directly as possible. So we don't want supplanting of private dollars with public dollars. But if you are using early literacy dollars for the duration between now and the next biennium, right, to just increase enrollment, and you're doing everything else to fundraise and come up with public funding for the program. And again, when staff is hired, you will have help to actually do that. So I want to say, so that's okay, except when the private funds are actually being saved for something and the public funds are being used instead. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Is that any clearer?
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. And I think what we're looking to develop is also that we recognize that a lot of you are planning to use your Birth to 5, or we've heard some, maybe not a lot, are planning to use Birth to 5 literacy funds to supplement and support these efforts. But we do want to make sure that there's some sort of sustainability plan, knowing that it's going to be just bridge funding in some sense for this 1 year until we get the program up and running with Dolly Parton. And so since we don't have that staff hired, we do not have that support for partners in place. We are going to be doing that for this 1 year. But when we do further with the funding plan and things with the Birth to 5, we are going to be asking, if your plan is to use this for Dolly Parton, then what is the plan after this 1 year of bridge funds when we are going to be allowing this funding? But it will not be allowed for future years unless something happens, but that is the plan as of now. And we really just wanted to make sure that's clear, that it will be allowed right now for the end of this biennium, but going forward, we will need partners to have some sort of sustainability plan in place.
Right. Thank you, Maria. And I'll speak, and maybe I'll pause to see if there's any match specific questions or additional sort of questions needing clarification, because I want to jump back to a couple of things in the chat that I want to just speak to. So I'll wait a moment.
Ivan, I just wanted to add really quick that I know that a lot of the hubs in your fiscal backbones really rely on what language is on your agreements and your amendments to help ease the way. So we did add a sentence on the amendment you'll get this week that specifies that you can use the Birth through 5 literacy funds for the remainder of the 23-25 biennium only. So then that way, if you have any questions from your business office, or you have that like the clarity's in there as well, that is specifically allowed and only for that period. And of course, don't know yet what 25-27 is going to look like, but for at least 23-25, that clarity is in the amendment.
And we do have to jump to our next presenter, but I don't know, Ivan, if you're able to, maybe if you see some things in the chat that continue to pop up, if you can answer questions via the chat, but we do want to switch gears and respect our next presenters and their time allotted as well. I think.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Ivan.
you.
Thank you, Rachel. We really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
And now I think we'll pass it on to Terry Santini with the Oregon Kinship Program. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. Maybe I can figure it out. Might all have to look at my calendar for a minute. There, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Terry Santini, and I'm the Oregon Kinship Navigator. Feel free to write down any questions or put them in the chat, and I can address them at the end of our presentation. A little bit about our program history. October of 2019 is when we were awarded the contract, and January of 2020 is when the program launched. We are a statewide program, and we provide connections with resources to kinship families in the communities that they live in. We support the whole state of Oregon, and we provide support to kinship families in the moment that they reach out. Who is eligible? Any relative or relative-like relationship with the child or children they are raising. So it can be a great-grandparent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin, brother, sister, or even a family friend that has taken on raising the kids. There's no age or financial eligibility requirements to work with us. There's no public agency involvement required, or they can be involved with the child welfare system. They're estimating there's about 40,000 children being raised by eligible people, so kinship families in Oregon. And Generations United reports that there's 2.6 to 2.7 million in kids in the United States being raised in kinship families. Little bit about the services that we provide. I do referrals to 2 evidence-based parenting programs. One is a partnership with Oregon Social Learning Center. It's the KEEP program. This is the first time this practice has been offered to kinship families outside of the child welfare system. It's a 16-week program. It's 1 night a week. It's an hour and a half. It's done through Zoom, and the families get paid to attend. They get a $25 gift card each week that they attend. So the end of that 16 weeks, it's about $400 in gift cards the families can receive. We have KEEP for families who are raising younger children, and KEEP Safe for those who are raising teenagers. And then for some of our Eastern Oregon counties, we have Triple P, which stands for Positive Parenting Program. It's an 8-week program. 4 of the sessions are done virtually, and 4 are with phone calls for more individual help. The virtual sessions are about an hour and a half to 2 hours a week. And they also do individual sessions around specific topics like bedtime routines, tantrums, shopping, and that kind of stuff. And the families can earn an incentive for participating in that too. And we provide a personal connection and support to families. I run a support group. It's called Conversations and Connections. It's twice a month. The first Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. So we had one today. And then the third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. It's done through Google Meet, and families can get a $25 gift card for attending that too. We also have a private Facebook group for grandparents and family members. We have one in English and one in Spanish. It provides information on resources in the community. It gives the grandparents and other kinship providers a protected place to talk about issues that they may be having, ask questions, look for support. And also I add links and reminders for the support group Conversations and Connections. We also help families navigate state agencies like WIC, TANF, OHP, ODHS, and Aging and Disability Services. We also work in partnership with 211 to provide a connection to resources for like childcare, counseling, food resources, clothing, utilities. We also work in partnership with My Neighbor Every Child to help families meet tangible needs. With that partnership, we can help families with beds, dressers, groceries, household items, diapers, formula wipes, baby equipment, clothing, items like that. And advocacy. So I am the representative for Grand Voices, which is part of Generations United. I get called to speak on issues that impact Oregon grand families at a national and state level discussions. I network with other states to improve services to kinship families and advocate at a state level to increase services and supports available to kinship families. Here's a little bit about what families say about working with the program and working with myself. And so I'm not going to read each one of these. I'll let you guys look at them. And I'll go back to that page, but And then this is how to contact us. So we have a toll-free number of 833-201-5557. You press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish. We have the generic email that goes to each of us, which is info@OregonKinshipNavigator.org, or there's my private email, which is tsantini@gobi.org. Also, on our website, the Oregon Kinship website, we have a referral form that either agencies can fill out for families, or families can fill out self-referrals too. So I am going to stop sharing so I can see my screen. And does anybody have any questions?
Terry, Rod just asked if Sandra is still with Oregon Kinship Navigator.
I seen that. Sandra will be with us until the 14th. She has given her notice, and so we are hiring a new bilingual staff. We're in the process of interviewing and hiring. So she's with us till the 14th, Rod.
Yeah, I just knew she was part of your staff and bilingual, which helps tremendously in our region. So
Right.
that's why I asked.
Yeah, we currently have a job opening. So if you guys know of any bilingual staff, it's on our website, on the Gobi website under careers.
And Terry, do you see the question from Athena about if Oregon Kinship provides resources and connections in all Oregon counties?
Yes, we support the whole state of Oregon.
This is great information, Terry. I appreciate you sharing this information. And just to confirm, if any of our hub directors here wanted to provide your information to a family, it would just be that info email?
So there's several ways. You can either email me and I can email you some flyers in both English and Spanish. We have brochures that you can email me about, and I can get them sent out in the mail to you. You can do the online referral. Either an agency or a family can do a referral on our website. Or if you have a question about whether a family qualifies or you want me to reach out to a family, you can send me an email or give me a call, and I'll answer questions or reach out to families that way.
Thanks, Terry. It's been really informative. I don't think folks have any other questions. I'm looking.
There is
Nancy. Yeah, I added a question in the chat. Terry, I don't know much about the program, so do you connect families with programs like the things that the hubs are connected to, like Preschool Promise? And then are there ways that we can work more closely together as hubs with your work?
Yes, I work real closely with Rachel Elliott, and so she has given us a lot of good information and has done presentations for our families, and has been very helpful getting our families connected with early interventions and Head Start. And so, yes, I do refer families.
Do you, just to follow up on that, Terry, do you connect families with local early learning hubs?
Yes, depending on, whether they want early interventions or Head Start, then I'll connect them, or I'll give them the website where they can search their area to see what's available.
Right. I think it sounds like we can further that partnership and have some more conversations about how we connect with maybe Preschool Promise specifically, and have some more information for that. So we will connect with you, Terry, and get you some more information. We're working closely with Rachel as well, and so we'll make sure that we make all those connections. And I think I hear you guys, and we need to have a further connection with Terry, so we will make sure to get going with that. Thank you, everyone. Any other questions?
Okay. Oh, I see Abby. Oh, so let's pass it along to Luciana Ribeiro, who I've worked with for a couple of years now with Oregon Migrant Education Service Center. She's here with Merced Flores. Welcome, both of you. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm gonna share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone. So glad to be here today. I'm gonna share my screen. Just let me know if it's working. Right.
We can see it. Thank you, Luciana.
You're very welcome. Yeah. Okay. So Ms. go ahead and start it for us, please. Let me put it in the slideshow mode. Right.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Merced Flores. I have about 20 days left before I retire, and I just wanted to be part of this team. Yes, it's time for me to go. And so for those of you who live in Central Oregon, I'll be moving there. We're building a brand new house out there, so we're looking forward to my retirement. My wife will keep on working, but I'm sure that we'll probably run into each other soon. But I'm the director of the Oregon Migrant Education Service Center, and you can hit the next slide, please. We have a very diverse staff and also people that do a great job of serving the migrant education program. I'm entering my 49th year in education, and I've worked in various capacities throughout the state of Oregon. And several of my staff have been around for quite some time. As you can see, Sue Chiathan has been with us since the age of 19, so she's been with us 35 years. But we have various areas that we serve, and these fine group of professionals serve the entire state of Oregon. But the migrant education program is a federally funded program. Actually, it's called the Education of Migratory Children. We are not to be confused with a lot of the migrant families that are moving across our borders. We are different because we are children of agricultural migratory workers and migratory fishers. So we get funding based on our families that move across school district boundaries to fish or to work in agricultural employment. But our dollars come from the federal government, the Office of Migrant Education, U.S. Department of Education, and they come directly to the Office of the Migrant Education Office at the Oregon Department of Education. The program itself is funded by the, it's a very top-down type of program because it's SEA controlled. So the Department of Education is responsible for finding every child in the entire state of Oregon. So we have to work in several different areas. Some of the services that we have of our identification and recruitment, which is we have to identify every child before we serve them. We're in charge of keeping data records on every child. We stress family engagement, early childhood education, and we also put on a number of different conferences. We just had a conference in Portland where we brought in 1,500 people from all over the state of, from all over the United States. So we do this and much, much more. These are the regions that we serve. We have regional programs, 19 regions across the state. We have some about 10 that are actually school districts. And then the other 9 are ESDs. Actually, the Migrant Education Program, the OMESC, the Oregon Migrant Education Service Center, is housed at an ESD. We're here at the Willamette ESD. But we serve these programs across the state, and currently we have our staff in different areas of the state performing responsibilities in IDNR, identification recruitment, data, early childhood education, and family engagement. Just to give you a sort of a history, the Elementary Secondary Education Act was signed in 1965. I don't think any of you were born in 1965, right? I think I was the only guy here that was born during that period of time, but it was part of the War on Poverty that was signed by Lyndon Johnson. And the overall purpose of this ESEA law was to improve educational opportunities for children living in poverty. But very few migrant children were being served at that time. And so we started the Title I Part C, which was an amendment to Title I. And this was called the Education of Migratory Children. And it was created in 1966. When you look at our state, we're very diverse. And this is a slide from the Oregon Department of Education's website, and it shows how diverse we are. And when we talk about migrant students, especially in their mobility, we find that there's a good slice of our population in our schools. We have 197 school districts, and I believe we serve migrant students in about 150 of those districts. So it could be that we find maybe 10 kids in one district up to maybe 3,000 in some districts. Our biggest programs are in Northeast Oregon, over the Umatilla, Morrill area, and then we also have the second largest in Southern Oregon, covering Jackson County, Klamath, and that area. We also have quite a few in the local area, but many more are just, come during the summertime. Many times they are here and then they go. If you look at this map here, this is our migratory patterns from the early 1960s, and we had three distinct areas: the Western Stream, the Central Stream, and also the Eastern Stream. At this point, it looks more like this. You could get the next slide up. So we have migrant students that are moving all over the place. It's no longer three separate streams. We have kids and families that are moving from place to place. In some cases, we might have a family that comes from Lafourche Parish in Louisiana and shows up to Oregon, to Portland, Oregon, or we might get somebody from Maine that has worked in the apples and they return over to California and they come up to pick cherries up in the Dalles area. So we have families that are moving across school district boundaries, but at the same time, many of the populations that we have in the state of Oregon are right here. They move within our own state. Some of the services that we have, once identified for the program, we offer free breakfast and lunch, and this is especially during our summer programs, academic support, summer school, of course, early childhood education, and we have every child that's identified in the program, ages 3 to 21, receives free student accident insurance. That means that if they should fall or if they should cut themselves or break a leg, whatever it might be, even in some cases, because they live close to irrigation, canals, and places where it might be a little dangerous, if something should happen to them, the accident insurance does pay for that. So it does pay for some of the costs. I know some of the costs are greater than that, but we offer this insurance. We're the only state across the US that provides this accident insurance. Is that for you? Or is that me?
No, that's to you, sorry.
Okay,
I was
still me.
muted.
Okay. We've had to cut down our presentation to make sure that we get it in with our allotted time.
Thank you, Missy.
You're welcome. Also, we have program goals that we emphasize across the state. Again, this is something that's directed by the state of Oregon, and we emphasize areas in math, reading, early childhood, high school graduation, and we also serve students who are out of school, or the OSY, out of school youth. Many times these are kids who have dropped out of school, or many times they come from another country coming here to work, and we provide them services such as ESL or English as a second language, or other services that they might need. We are a very diverse state because earlier I talked about how we're very diverse as far as a population, but look at what we have in the state of Oregon. You know, just all over the place. There's a lot of concentration, very seasonal activities in the Willamette Valley. But if you look at the entire state, we have so many different agricultural and fishing products, and also crops that it's tremendous. And we have our partners to the north, Washington State, our partners to the south, and they also have a very diverse, a number of different regions where they have, such as cattle, they have wheat, they have a lot of seasonal crops, but we also have a lot of temporary crops, which means that if workers come into an area and they plan to stay in a certain area, such as working on a farm, feeding horses or cattle, or maybe collecting eggs. These are employment opportunities that many times a lot of migrant families will work for a temporary or even a seasonal basis. But again, we have a very diverse area. One of the things that we have to do before we serve our migrant children is that we have to identify and recruit them. We have a certificate of eligibility, and we are required as a state to identify and recruit all eligible students within the state. We also have recruiters that are hired through regional programs, and they're the ones responsible for identifying and recruiting families. We train each of these recruiters, and we also require them to complete a certificate of eligibility before services can begin. And once they're determined to be eligible, they receive services. But one of the things that we are different from other programs, such as our Head Start programs, we do not base our eligibility on income requirements. So that's a little different from some of the Migrant Head Start programs or regular Head Start programs or other programs that you might be providing to the general population.
Merced, I just want to do a quick time check. I think there's about 8 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the other things too is that these are recruiters that we're responsible for. Again, we train them, and then we also provide them with follow-up consultation and so on. These are the requirements that we have. They can be older than 21 years of age. If they have not graduated or received their GED, we can qualify them, and they have to make a qualifying move. And this is, requirements that we have that we must abide by. And we also are very lucky that we have one of the biggest programs in the nation. We are the third largest funded program, but again, the fifth largest as far as numbers. So we fall right behind some of the bigger states like California, Washington State, and also Texas. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, the next one after that, so we could keep within our time. I'll let you go at it, Luciana.
Oh, thank you, Missy. Just gonna get quick here because of the time. So thank you, Missy, for this wonderful overview of our program. And the reason I'm here today is just to talk about, I work with this amazing team here, and my role is early childhood education specialist. And I work with the team, the 19 regional programs that offer support with students who are ages 3 to 5, not yet in kindergarten. And then as part of the program, each of the regional programs, they receive a small allocation every year, and directors decide how they're going to spend that money and how they're going to allocate and make use of the resources to best serve our students ages 3 to 5, not yet in kindergarten. Moving to the next slide. So again, because each one of the programs decide what they're going to do, they have various ways of delivering services, including some preschool classrooms. They also added classes during the summertime. They provide services during the regular school year, which is from September through June. They also have the home-based program. Pre-K specialists, they do home visits. They support students with enrollment into programs such as Head Starts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Currently, out of the 19 programs, 6 are offering their own funded MEP classrooms, and these are the districts where we currently have preschool classrooms that are only for our migrant students, and most of the instruction is in Spanish to serve our students. My role here, and the reason why I'm here today along with Missy, is because we wanted to build and gain knowledge about our programming with DELC Early Learning Partners to ensure that you're all knowledgeable about what we do and how our pre-K specialists are in the community working with the students to provide services. And what I do is I work with the Department of Education to create a state plan, to provide and coordinate monthly in professional development opportunities for them, with data collection, assistance, and consultation. We work with and collaborate with the internal and external stakeholders, and that's why I'm here today, because I would like for each one of the hub directors to know what we do and how we can collaborate and work closely. I've been working a lot with Rachel Elliott to make sure that we are serving and collaborating and working with the stakeholders at the state level and also local levels. I highly encourage all the specialists to participate in the Early Learning Hub meetings to make sure they're aware of what's taking place in their own communities as far as how supporting families with access to early learning resources. And this is one of our specialists that received an award last year, and what they do, the number one, once they receive a caseload of students every single year, the number one goal is to promoting the migrant education program in ensuring and making sure that students are receiving services from the early learning partners. So they've been participating in preschools like Head Start. They also provide direct instructions in the home. Like I mentioned, it's the home visiting program. And they also work with the parents to make sure that they're empowering them to continue on with their children's education. And also they work closely with MEP staff, the family engagement specialists, and family advocates to ensure that families are also being involved in the voices and family engagement activities they provide throughout the school year and summer. And the critical piece of this, why I'm here today, is ensuring that the specialists in our program, they're connected with all the early learning partners across the state, because our specialists work with the students that are being served by the regional programs. And a lot of this collaboration happens with the connect with the Head Start to make sure that these kids have access to slots in their programs. They're also using their resources such as the facilities, buses. They collaborate with meals, family engagement activities, and also other things like assessment, sharing data, ensuring that they providing like that comprehensive services to students that are eligible for our program. Like I mentioned, family engagement is one of the pieces of our program. They collaborate with our staff and also the family advocates at the state, the local levels that work with Head Starts to making sure that families are getting, again, we talked about being involved and engaged. They work together. They do group assessment, play groups, open houses, kinder orientations to provide support and services to meet the needs of each family. So they're out and about. These specialists are advocates working with families and making sure they're having access to early learning opportunities. I know this was really quick. I don't know, Nancy, if we have time for this video, or if not, it's okay. We can just put them in the chat and they can look at the materials later on.
Let's put the video in the chat. We've got some good questions that I'm seeing. If you could check that out. And
sorry.
thank you both for this.
You're welcome.
Presentation.
I know we'll try to do like really quick, 20 minutes.
Do you see Rod's question? Rod, do you want to just unmute and ask that?
Yeah, just read it. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, we work with a school district that has a migrant preschool program, but their enrollment's down, so they're having trouble having enough funding to keep that classroom open. I was wondering if they can use migrant funds to purchase slots in another like mixed funded classroom that's in that same town. Mm-hmm. We've heard yes, we've heard no. So that's
okay. If I could go ahead and answer that question. Yes, you can use dollars as long as you have all the other programs that every migrant child is afforded to attend any of those other programs. So if you have additional migrant children that would like to be part of that program, you can buy those slots from that organization. But yes, you can, and there is, I've been with the program long enough that, I would know how to answer that question. I know that there's a question there that I saw about braiding funds. You can braid funds as long as you make sure that you know which funds are being used for which students. So you really, there's the documentation piece that's really important there. So, but yeah, the best thing to do is to, if there's any question about that, you can always get a hold of the Department of Education. If they don't answer on a timely basis, then you can call Luciana or somebody from the Oregon Migrant Education Service Center, and then she'll know how to get a hold of me, because after July 1, I won't be around, but I'm more than happy to answer some of those questions.
There's also a question in the chat from Jillian that says Lake County is white on the map. What does that mean?
That means that Lake County used to be one of our regional programs years ago. They were a county that would have a lot of families that would move across districts, but many of those families qualified by working on the wheat. They were tending cattle, and in some cases, it was like the old wagon train days. They would move through vehicles and even covered wagons and move from one county over to the other. That relationship with the school district and with Lake County ended about 10 years ago, because there just was not enough families to have a program in Lake County. But if we're going to try and see if we might be able to serve them as a region outside of the 19 regional programs and provide them with accident insurance. So if there's workers over there, there are families that have children under the age of 22, we can qualify them and they would get services such as the accident insurance program.
Thank you. And it looks like there's one more question from Michelle, and then we'll move on to our next speaker. Michelle writes, our local MEP let me know their funding was cut in half, so they are scrambling to cover costs this summer. Can you provide support to local MEPs with a funding issue like that? Good question.
Which district was that?
This is Lane County.
Lane County? Yeah. Actually, Lane did not receive, or excuse me, receive a lesser cut than some of our programs. But I know that we had some programs that lost, and I'll give you it wasn't of any fault of them, whether, if they did not do documentation. We are seeing that a lot of migrant families are not moving anymore. We have families that are moving from district to district and from state to state, but not as many as we had, back 20 years ago. I think we're doing a better job of including some of our migrant families, and families are realizing, hey, it's good for us to stay here. We can find employment here. There's a lot of seasonal workers that can stay in one place and their kids could attend school. And so they're not moving as we used to. We saw this right about COVID. And then after that, they just are not moving as much. And we're seeing that trend throughout the United States, not just Oregon. But yeah, Lane County has a fine program. They do a lot of good things. And that program is funded by the Lane ESD. But yeah, I wish we could provide more dollars, but we also have programs during the summertime and also during the regular school year. But the fun part of it is during the summer, because they do provide their own services, and we have teachers coming from Mexico to be able to help teach our kids in English and Spanish.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I just wanted you to note that Luciana dropped the link to the video they were going to share, but we didn't have time for. And we will also include that in our follow-up email.
Nancy, I think Begonia had a comment, a question in the chat, right, Begonia?
No, I was saying hi to you, but it was the blended and braided. I was just clarifying what Rod was asking. But since you asked me, Luciana, hi, it has been a while.
Hi.
She was actually in Washington County with us for several years. And so, Merced, what about, you mentioned that the Spanish-speaking community and teachers coming from Mexico, but what about those that are coming from Central America that could speak Mixteco or Canjobal, Quechua, Quechua, Mam, those languages? How are you serving them?
Well, currently, if they qualify for our program, for the migrant education program, we do have speakers of other languages, and especially with a lot of the indigenous languages. And we've been working with the Oregon Department of Education. They have now state funding for an office called the Multilingual and Migrant Education Program. The director is Dr. Mary Martinez Wenzel, and she has a number of staff who are working with a lot of families from indigenous backgrounds. So I would contact Mary. She would be a good person. She's at the Department of Education. There's another person named Dr. Juliana Kenfield, who also is actually she has, I think she speaks maybe 2 or 3 indigenous languages. So, I mean, we have some staff that really would love to jump on that. So please give them a shout out, and they'll give you a call. We are seeing that many of the families who speak different languages are coming from Central California, around the San Joaquin area, and they're coming up to work not only in Oregon, but also in Washington, over by Bellingham. So.
Great, thank you so much. We are going to pivot a little bit. We did have Dorothy on, but we don't want to rush that conversation with Dorothy. I don't know if anybody has any pressing questions about ERDC that maybe Dorothy can answer while she's here, but she did share the slides, and we are going to just move the further conversation to our next month's meeting, just to make sure that we're not looking to rush this or anything like that. But if anybody has any pressing questions for Dorothy around ERDC, I'm sure she would be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Maria. And I also just wanted to put a plug for if folks, you can put in the chat or just share by email with me. Really looking to hear about how the ERDC waitlist impacted any of the enrollment, how the enrollment season went this year. I don't think that we've had an ERDC waitlist since we rolled out Preschool Promise and specifically coordinated enrollment. And so there's just been some questions internally if you all are seeing impacts of the waitlist in the enrollment season this spring. So really looking to hear if there are any stories there. I've reached out to Cass and Mel about joining a coordinated enrollment conversation to also ask your coordinated enrollment staff that same question, but just a quick little plug there, and always happy to see so many of your faces.
Great. Well, thanks, everyone. I think with that, we can end our meeting. Nancy and I will stick around, and if anybody has any questions for us, and we really want to thank all of our presenters, including Luciana and Merced. Thank you so much for presenting. And we know it was a full meeting, but we really thank you all for taking the time, and we will be sending a recap email with all of the information that was presented today. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Take care, everybody.
Inviting us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.